Welcome back, everyone, to the Behind the ERG podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I'm your host, Edward Odofin, and I run a community called Emerge. Emerge is a community of professionals who advocate for Black corporates and also drive inclusivity across the corporate sector and beyond. The purpose of this podcast is to unpack the power, purpose, and mission of those individuals and share more about what they do behind the ERG and what they do across the community and beyond. I'm delighted to welcome our guest today, someone who's been turning sound into social change, someone who's known as a modern day trailblazer, and someone who's been inspiring people across the music sector and beyond. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Alexandra Ampofo.
Woo! Thanks for having me.
Love the intro, love the enthusiasm. So talk to us, Alex. Who's Alex? That's all we'll start with.
Who is Alex? Alex is a Black woman, first of all, a Black music industry professional, a live music promoter, an advocate for accessibility, a loving, kind, and diplomatic individual. I feel like that's how I describe myself, but yeah, I'm here to talk about live music and all of the things I do behind the scenes. A CIC I run called Women Connect. And yeah, let's get into it.
Powerful. And one of the key things we like to advocate for on this platform is mental health and wellness. So, on that topic, before we even go into the nitty gritty and the details, how are you? Like, how are you generally?
I'm really good, you know. I'm really good considering the year that I've had in terms of like my actual health. I've been very busy. I've got back on my feet in terms of my health as well. Things are kind of looking up for me. So, yeah, I'm in a good space. Obviously, for full transparency, I'm living with type 1 diabetes and there's a lot of complications that come with that. But all in all, I'm grateful to be here and I'm grateful to kind of share the space with you today.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you as well.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to segue into another question, and I'm going to ask you on the topic of positivity. What's one thing that's brought you joy in the month so far?
This month, there's been quite a few things. Can I share two things?
Of course.
Okay. So the first one, I ran a live music course in collaboration with Lewisham Music, me and my co-founder of Women Connect. It was called Gig Lab and it was the first of its kind. For us anyway. It was so successful. It actually brought me to tears at the end of the course when we kind of did our final showcase. And that just brought me so much joy because over the 5 weeks that we were with our cohort, we learned so much about each other and there was true value exchange. And I couldn't have asked for a better cohort because they really, really inspired me and kind of made me reflect on my journey in music, which has been a really long time. So, yeah, that's one thing that brought me joy. And the second thing, it's kind of similar, but I also work with a charity called the F List for Music. They are a directory, UK directory of female musicians. And I've been heading up their Croydon sector for about 2 months now. So I've been mentoring 6 women. And they're just fantastic. And it's something that brings me joy every single time we get to meet, chat, kind of put a plan together, talk about their life goals and things that inspire them, things that they want to do in the future and the journey that they've kind of taken so far. And it's only been a short time, but like I said, it's been 2 months so far. But we had such an inspiring and kind of enriching meeting yesterday. And that's something that just left me feeling so happy. I left the mentoring session and I was just like, I can't believe I actually get to interact with people who are this passionate about music. It's honestly, it just fills me with so much happiness.
That's truly inspiring. And one thing that is highlighted from what you just shared is the synergies between live music and societal and community change.
Absolutely.
I just want to expand on that a bit more, and I just want to ask you, what do you think the role is of live music in cultural moments and cultural societal change, so providing young people with opportunities and so forth?
So in terms of providing people with opportunities, there's so many roles behind the scenes that people just have no idea or education about. And that's mainly kind of why I do a lot of the talks, panels, charity, mentorship that I do, because I think the role of live music is really to bring people joy and happiness and create an atmosphere where cultures can come together. And there's so much cross collaboration across all aspects of music. It's such a beautiful space to be in, especially when you're connecting on one thing. We're all here because we love music. We're all here because we're in love with the artist. You know, we're in love with the lyrics and the sounds and sonically just everything about music. Seeing how it all happens backstage and how it's brought to life from inception is so important. And I think that's a really integral part of society because it's entertainment.
Yeah.
People love entertainment.
Amazing. And I have this belief, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because it's definitely your field more than mine.
Go on.
But I feel like there's four things that unite people, regardless of your race, protected characteristic, background, and it's music, art, sport, and gossip.
Gossip. I wasn't
Gossip,
expecting that.
gossip,
I thought you were going to say
gossip,
food.
gossip.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm.
You see it online, you see it in workplaces. Gossip's the one thing that, regardless of who you are, where you are, people come together to
I know
discuss
people
it.
love tea, people love
Yeah.
gist, but you
Yeah.
know what? Gist is so dangerous. So
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, guys, keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
And on that point, the reason I highlighted that is because music is something that transitions across various different cultures and continents. And what I want to ask is, specifically more in terms of the UK, how do you feel representation has increased when it comes to like UK festivals and touring? And where do you feel there's potential opportunities to kind of grow representation in these areas?
I really believe, especially being in my position, that things have, for lack of a better word, have gotten better, or lack of a better phrase, have definitely gotten better. I've personally seen a lot more representation across something that I'm super passionate about, being accessibility. You know, I've seen a lot more diverse lineups, which I'm so happy about. And that's diversity across race, gender, again, accessibility, and all of those kind of different things that people are kind of labeled with, I think is something I've actually never seen before. Like, I went to a festival in summer and the lineup was just, it took me back to 17-year-old me when I was trying to, you know, hustle my way into festivals and see people that I was just deeply passionate about and kind of think about how I might plan a lineup, or all of my big dreams that I had back then were actually brought to life by a lot of the festivals that I saw this summer. So that was really something positive for me to see, because it's something I've always dreamed of. So that's definitely how I'd answer that, because when music is your life and I've always been in music. I've done odd jobs here and there, but I've always been in music, especially live music. And to see where the festivals are now, as I never thought it would be like this, honestly.
So before we delve more into your inspirations, your motivations around being involved in music, I just want to talk more in terms of what you just said there. So when it comes to these live events, what is exactly your role in that, and what does a day in the life look like for Alex when it comes to planning a major festival or an event? And I know it's something you spoke about at South by Southwest London recently as well. So yeah, just let us know what does it look like? What does it entail?
So to break it down, it's funny that you asked me this, because a lot of people don't know or really understand what I do. When I tell them I'm a live music promoter, I always get asked this question. So like, what is your day to day like? Like, what are you actually doing? Just so funny, because this is the question that I would ask when I was 18 years old, and people would talk about all of these different roles, in the industry. And I was like, what does a promoter actually do? Like, is it just guest list? Is it, what are you actually working on? Is it marketing? Is it production? And to answer that question simply, it's all of those things. So my day to day I have a standard, but it does look different depending on what I've got going on. So summer's quite a busy period because we have like all of the festivals. So that'll be a lot of networking, going to talk to agents, connecting with artists, watching our own artists that I personally have on my roster on festivals or shows, concerts that they're kind of, headlining at. or just, booked to perform at. So on a day-to-day though, to break it down, I will mainly be kind of budgeting a lot of tours, concerts, whatever I'm working on for the people on my roster. So that kind of involves me speaking to venues about hire, all the kind of overheads that go into getting a show off the ground, hire, production, speaking to our marketing teams, on artwork and online marketing, digital marketing. Are we going to book in posters? Like, what is the plan here? Putting that digital plan together. Also speaking, we have like a counterpart of our team that will be running the show on the day. So that's called a promoter rep. I'll be doing a lot of liaison with them, trying to advance the show before the show actually happens. So we'll be going back and forth about, sound check times, what time am I getting to the venue, what time is loading. They'll be speaking to the artist, little bits like that. So yeah, every day is different because sometimes I have venue visits, for example. So I'll go and do a recce with an artist or an agent, or sometimes a manager if there's no agent involved. Sometimes I'll, go to meetings, just trying to kind of secure the acts that I want to work with. Sometimes agents come to me and say, "Hey, do you want to work on this act?" It's a bit of both.
Okay, wow.
It's
There's
busy.
a lot.
There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a large team. It's not just me, the only promoter. We do have other promoters at my company that I'll also be talking about, okay, what acts have you got coming up, and is it going to clash with something that I have coming up, especially if there's overlapping, audiences. But yeah, it's a lot of meetings, a lot of planning, a lot of budgeting. There's so much meticulous work that actually goes into getting a show from start to finish. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyone who's ever delivered an event can definitely resonate with Alex in terms of everything she said today,
Yeah.
because being able to drive an event from an idea to an actual concept and then negotiating and navigating all the other aspects of an event is something I definitely admire everyone who's involved in doing that. So doing that on the scale of the events that you're involved in is no easy feat.
No, it's not easy for you. And
yeah.
you know what? I feel like I haven't even reached my full potential yet. Like, the things I do, I work hard, and I've really, really kind of grown some artists from 100 cap to, they're doing Brixtons, and they're doing Hammersmith Apollos and things like that. But I don't think I've reached my full potential. There's so much more I can do and so much further value I want to add to my artists and the agents I work with and the events that I put on. And yeah, my trajectory hopefully is going to get even better.
Love that. Aiming for the stars, aiming for the top.
Have to.
So, cool. So, thank you for that answer. And from the conversation we've had so far, I can tell you're extremely passionate about live music. So, can I ask Alex, why live music? Like, I'm Nigerian, so it was literally like medicine or law. But you've obviously gone into live music, been very successful at it. So why live music? Why have you chosen that path?
So I resonate with that because I'm West African, I'm Ghanaian, and I was always interested in music. I've always been like quite a musical child. My parents played music at home, when we were growing up. I also play the violin, so I have like a musical background. To be quite honest with you, was so unbelievably bored in every job I had done before I'd entered live music. And that's when I knew, okay, I've got affinity to music. It moves me in a way that I can't not, I can't not be in the industry. It has to be music. And that's why I do live music, because, when you go, you're sitting at home and you hear a song and it's just, how you just think to yourself, you have so many different questions and you want to see it live. It's like, okay, but how would this sound with, this instrument, and how would it sound with the remix, and how would it sound with this artist? Like, I always had those kind of thoughts and feelings when I went to events and festivals and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's why I do it. It's honestly it sounds so cliche, but just for the love of it. Like, it's such a hard job to do, I'll be honest with you, but I love it so much that I can't see myself doing anything else.
And what genres inspired or influenced your childhood, and are there any particular genres that you feel people should look out for going forward?
Definitely, obviously being Ghanaian, it was high life, hip life. But there was this band that my dad would play, Hanson. It was like a pop tune, and I think it was Three Brothers from the
Ah, yeah,
US.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah,
that
yeah,
one,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah, yeah.
my dad used to rinse that song, and for some reason, we all loved it. I've got siblings,
Yeah.
and we just used to love that song when it came on. It
Okay.
just, for some reason, brought the family together. The minute he put on that tune, it was going off in my
Yeah.
house. So, I mean, that's a really old tune. I hope I've
Yeah.
got the band name right, but I'm sure it was
I think it's Hanson.
Hanson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I think it's three blonde
Three brothers.
brothers.
Yes, the
Yeah,
one
yeah,
who
yeah,
played the
yeah,
drums.
yeah,
They all
yeah,
played
yeah,
different
yeah,
instruments.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is such a core memory of mine. And I'm sure if I called my siblings right now, they would remember it. Even my dad, like I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's something that really shaped my childhood. Because when I say he rinsed that song,
Yeah.
not just for the season, but like for years, he
Yeah.
on the CD in the car, in the house, like he made sure that that song was getting played. But yeah, in terms of genres, a lot of like Ghanaian kind of, also Fuji, that
Yeah.
definitely inspired my childhood. And there was quite a bit of R&B. I
Yeah.
think, having an older sister and her being quite a bit older than like the rest of me and my
Yeah.
siblings, she really shaped our music taste. She was listening to Destiny's Child. I was maybe like 4 or 5, hearing these amazing melodies, harmonies, and such synergy between the women in that group. And that's another core memory of mine. I super remember Destiny's Child being played like constantly in my house when she'd be getting ready to go to school and, go out with her friends. And I think those moments really, for me anyway, identified like my real love for just hearing how people put together musical arrangements. But in saying that, I knew I didn't want to be a performer. Like, I
Yeah.
would hear things and think, oh, this is so cool, this is wicked, it sounds so great. But I knew I didn't want to be a performer. But obviously back then, I didn't know
Yeah.
that there was even roles. I didn't even know how people were going to shows. I didn't know who was organising it. I had no idea. And then, I happened to fall into the music
Yeah.
industry and let my way through and climb the ladder.
You took my next question because I was going to ask, have you ever had any like thoughts about being in front of the mic, but you just covered it then. So
No, thank you.
yeah.
I think that's so like, it's so terrifying. I
Yeah.
take my hat off to all artists because I don't know how they get on that stage and, entertain us. And they consistently do it well. Crowd control, stage presence, and the stamina it takes to like put on a really, really good show, the pyrotechnics, just the band, the rehearsals, all of it. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah. And also shout out Hanson as well. If you want to make
Shout
a
out.
2025,
Shout out
2026 comeback.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
there's people here that are looking out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what I want to go on to next is you talked about your early experiences.
Yeah.
How has that shaped what you do now in terms of how you may lead teams, how you may approach live events and festivals, that kind of stuff? What I guess values from your childhood did you incorporate in what you do now?
So I try to make everything intentional.
Yeah.
Like I'm not very good with working under pressure. So I try to allow for a lot of time to kind of plan things. I mean, of course, in music, there are things that come in last minute, and it's kind of like you have to really do your best to make sure you're executing a very, very good job, especially because you're going to be selling tickets.
Yeah.
And the fans, the consumer, the ticket buyers, they have to get a good experience of, out of what you've put together. So, and that's definitely shaped by my childhood. I didn't have strict parents, but I definitely had parents that kind of instilled those values within me. Like, you please, work as hard as you possibly can. If it's music that you're going to do, make sure you're the best at what you're doing. Like those kind of things.
Yeah.
My parents really spoke life into me, and I'm so grateful that I have those values now, because I think it shows up in my work and it shows up in the way I communicate with like people in my team, my assistant, my manager. I think it's really important to have like core organizational skills, especially when it comes to music, because once you've got that, like the world is really your oyster. You can kind of do or manage anything that's thrown at you.
That's powerful. And continuing the theme of live music, how do you choose like the artists you work with? That's what I've always wanted to know. Or are they chosen for you, or how does it work? Do you have influence in that decision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if I love the music, whether that's, I've sought out a particular artist, or the artist has kind of found their way to me through whatever means, their manager or their agent, or, we've just met somewhere. If I love the music, I'm always, always excited about working with that person. And that's kind of like the decision making, because you have to love the artists on your roster. You have to love what you're doing. You have to love the people you're working with. And it's really important it's important to me to be proud of the things that I have done, be proud of the artists that I work with. So that's kind of my decision-making marker. Like, I really just have to love the music. And if I think I can create a good show and I've got a good relationship with whoever it is, the artist, the manager, the agent, I'll always give it a go, because the consumer music, in my opinion, is never going to die. It's never going to die. People are always going to want to be at live shows. They're always going to want to interact and have places to go. And when you're a small part of that the sense of pride that comes at the end, and, you've looked around and the venue's empty, is like a feeling that I can't even compare it to or liken it to anything else in my life. So that's the decision the decision marker for me.
Yeah. And when we talk about live shows, I know accessibility is a massive passion of yours.
Yeah.
And something you very much advocate for in terms of the work you do.
Mm-hmm.
In 2025, content is consumed by various different people who have various different levels of accessibility. And I think COVID highlighted that in terms of the importance of making these type of things accessible to as many people as possible. I want to ask, how do you ensure your events are accessible as possible, and what sources or inspirations do you pull on to drive that in your events or the things you work across?
So for starters, I have, I think I mentioned this in the beginning, but being a type 1 diabetic is one of the things that kind of drives my passion behind accessibility, because as manageable as this condition is, it can also be a bit of a blocker, especially when it comes to, your blood sugars are low and you're tripping up all over the place and you're sweating and you're shaking, and you have to then climb, 30 steps, and people think you're drunk and you're not, because you're having a hypo. That's something that's actually happened to me before, and I guess I was a little bit ignorant to how important accessibility was for just people in general.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, having a condition or living with a disease or, maybe being in a wheelchair or being a wheelchair user. It's about community, and things should be accessible for everyone. So that was definitely the driving force behind a lot of the advocacy and work that I do behind the scenes, and not just in live music, but just the things I do just, outside of live music as well. Over the last, I'd say, 6 years, I have done courses. I've gone to panel talks, and I've spoken to people just out and about in the community at our events, and, feedback forms following events on how we can just constantly improve. And that's something I think is really important, and now becoming like industry wide. And it's so good to see, and it's so encouraging to see that people care about each other, because, like I said, it's about community. It's not about the extremes of what these things are. It's literally about caring. So BSL interpreters, for example, or step-free access, or safe spaces and welfare officers, those are the things that now sit at the forefront of my mind, especially when doing things with Women Connect, because when I started, I didn't know anything about welfare officers. I didn't have the budget for, all of these extra counterparts that I thought, okay, maybe I can juggle it, or maybe I can, wear 2 hats. It doesn't work like that. You definitely sometimes need a professional to come in and tell you, okay, these are the things that you need to do to ensure that people are safe in this space, and these are the things that are on the checklist that you definitely need to make sure are implemented at some point. And, it all comes at a price, but the price is worth it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I know you just referenced it towards the end there in terms of Women's Connect. For those who are listening who might not be familiar with that, are you able to just explain a bit more in terms of what Women's Connect is?
Yes. So we are, me and my co-founder, Bree, we are a female forward collective. We are a CIC. We provide and source free opportunities for women, non-binary people, and transgender individuals in the entertainment space through advocacy, training, workshops, and events. So we focus on mainly people in entertainment, but we do kind of veer off sometimes and focus on issues such as, reproductive health in the workplace, mental health, the period poverty kind of crisis in the UK. So, yeah, we do a lot of work around just kind of enriching spaces for women and transgender people and non-binary people.
Amazing. And what inspired you and your co-founder to create Women's Connect? And what's the vision? It's a double-ended question, but what's the vision going forward for it?
What inspired us? It's so funny because Brie, we spoke about this the other day. I've known Brie for years, but I whenever someone asks me this, I can never identify when we actually met, and I don't actually know how many years. I just know it's been a long
Yeah.
time. But she says, so I'm basically going to recount her story. She says she got in touch with me and invited me to a Black History Month event. I believe was at Sony, and then I ended up going, and then we met there, and then we just hit it off. But I reached out to her at some point and said, I've got this idea. I don't have any money to do it, but I really want to lean on the resources that we have. And, you've got this and I've got this. And maybe if we come together, we can kind of create something that, is a small pocket of safeness for people. And there's so many collectives and charities and CICs and communities that do a similar thing to us. And I wanted to be a part of that because there's room for all of us, and there can never be enough of these entities that are giving back and providing opportunities. And if I can and have the resources, and why not? And that's what inspired me and I guess us to come together and create Women Connect.
Amazing. And so what's the vision? What's the goal? Like what are you looking to achieve, and what does that look like in reality? Let's say, for example, in 5 years' time.
So the goal is essentially for Women Connect to run itself. Currently, we're a small team of two.
Yeah.
We do have help here and there, with freelance people that come in and also help us with our training, workshops, our courses, our socials, here and there. But we do want it to be an entity that stands alone and is, functioning as a space for people to come in and actually gain something from being part of our community. So we have a Google group. We want to expand our Google group into, more of a WhatsApp community as well. We also have like, so our courses that we run, we've got a mentoring scheme that we ran a couple of years ago, which was widely successful. But we kind of saw a different vision for that mentoring scheme and to kind of veer it off into more individual courses that sat alone. So we've started to build that, and that's kind of the goal for Women Connect now. Now we're going to put together, the course was called Gig Lab. It's over a 5-week period. So you have week 1 where you learn a subject, 2, 3, and 4 where you learn different subjects, all kind of related to entertainment, live music. And then week 5 is like the final products, the final showcase, or the final projects, depending on what those 4 prior weeks look like. We want to run it again. We actually just signed on to do it again 2026, summer of 2026.
Congrats.
So thank you. I'm very happy. And I actually want to give a massive shout out to Lewisham Music for even reaching out to us and giving us the opportunity to kind of bring our resources to the borough of Lewisham, because it's really important, like I said, to be enriching places that wouldn't necessarily kind of have those opportunities. So that is the goal for Women Connect long term.
And with the first cohort of people that have done the Gig Lab course, how has that empowered the young people in terms of their experience or awareness or expertise when it comes to live music production?
So firstly, not only did we want them to be able to meet people from the industry, so not just myself and Brie and the people like behind the team, but we also wanted them to meet other industry professionals. So we did have guest speakers come in every single week, and a lot of people have connected, and people being the cohort have connected with the guest speakers and have been doing, mentoring sessions with the guest speakers, and also shadowing opportunities, have applied for like jobs, guest speakers have been helping them with jobs. But in addition to that, something that was very important was for them to have official certification at the end of it, because it's lovely that we can add value and connect them with people and help hopefully build their ecosystem. But we also wanted them to have something official that they could put on their CV and say, like, I've done this course, it's an official certification, and I can take this qualification going forward and say, this is what I've done and I've learned something, and we haven't actually executed that before. So this is the first time we've been able to do it. And I'm super proud of it. I'm really, really proud of it, because I wish I did more of these initiatives when I was, coming up. I wish I engaged in more. I'm not sure if there was the same type of thing, it was like 15 years ago now for myself when I first was entering the industry, but I wish I knew more when I was coming in. So I really hope that people are kind of like learning from the successful things that we've done, but also like our mistakes too.
Amazing. And we'll share more towards the end of this podcast around where people can find more information
Okay.
about Women's Connect and also the up and coming Gig Lab course. So shout you and Brie out for that.
Thank you.
This wouldn't be a Behind the ERG podcast without talking about ERGs.
Of course.
So I'm going to ask you next about Embrace Nation. So what led to you co-founding Embrace Nation at Live Nation Music?
What led to it? Do you know what? I feel like this podcast has demonstrated that my memory is terrible because I cannot, for the life of me, remember. It was, I think, around 2019, and a few of my colleagues at the time, I was like fairly new to the workplace. A few of my colleagues, we would have lunch together, we'd sit, we'd chat about different things, and it just grew and grew and grew. It was like lunchtime, there was maybe 2 or 3 of us, and then there became 5, and then there became 10, and we'd all shared like similar values and wanted to have similar experiences, but we really connected with each other, and the conversation came up about potentially starting an ERG because where I work, we were encouraged to form our own ERGs, which is something I'm not sure other people have the opportunity to do. So I'm super grateful that we were kind of supported. We spoke to our higher ups about the kind of premise behind it and why it was important to have a space like that for, people within the company. And that's kind of like how it came about. It started with 5 of us. The teams have changed over the years. Some people have left. Some people have, moved on to different roles, changed departments. But at the core of it, the intention behind it is still the same. And we've actually been able to do some really incredible things. It's a volunteer role, first of all. And we have 9 to 5s. We work on, things outside of the workplace, and we have relationships, and we've got friends to maintain and family to see. But every time I get together with the people in our ERG, I'm just immediately elated. I'm so happy, and I just look at our journey and I think I can't believe that we actually execute these events and execute these lunch and learns and have these incredible guest speakers. Like we had Remy Bergs come in, we had Michelle Escoffrey come in, we've had the Dope Breeders Club come and do a book swap, black book swap with our employees. And I just think, how are these things even possible? How are they even possible? It's because we all care. And like I said, the intention behind it remains no matter how much the team changes.
Shout out Embrace Nation.
Thank you. Shout out Embrace Nation.
Sounds like you're doing great things.
Yeah, we are. And I'm excited for 2026, honestly, because 2025, we've actually managed to, do something every quarter, and we have amazing attendance. We have really, really good attendance. And we were speaking about our measurability, and how we can change things, how we can do, things a little bit better. Like, what do people actually want from us? And it's about that listening and learning and executing the way people want you to, and deliver events and deliver whatever it is they're asking you to do in the best way possible. So, 2026, I think, is going to be a really, really good year, pivotal year for us.
Thank you. And thanks for sharing that, and looking forward to a big 2026,
Yes.
not just for Embrace Nation, but Women's Connect and all the other forums and communities you're involved in as well.
Emerge.
Emerge as well. Shout out
Yes,
Emerge.
I've loved being a
Always,
part of Emerge,
every time.
honestly. So no, shout out for you. Shout out to you, in fact, because I mean, the moment I met you, it's just been kind of like the growth from the start to now has been so beautiful, so stunning to watch. And I really feel like it's such an important, integral community. Like I've never been part of something like this before that's not been like a counterpart of the workplace, or, you know, I've been an employee there. So to have an outside sounding board and connect with people who are complete strangers,
Yeah.
all walks of life. If I put something in that group, I know I'm going to be supported, and that's priceless. Like where do you go to actually get that? I can't believe it. Like you've honestly created something really special.
Appreciate it. And appreciate everyone involved.
Yeah.
It takes a village.
It takes a
So
village.
love that. We're going to go into a quick fire round before we wrap up. And I'm just going to ask you a couple of things and just let us know your immediate thoughts. So the first one is, what book or podcast are you currently listening to at the moment?
Behind the ERG.
Love that.
Podcast.
Love that. Outside of Behind the ERG, what other podcasts are you listening to?
What other podcasts am I listening to? Oh my gosh, there was one I came across the other day. Do you know what? This is going to be a light-hearted one because I'm quite into like murder mysteries, and there's one I came across the other day, but I can't remember the name of it. But I do have another one that I really like. What was that guy's name? Jamie Lang and
Okay.
Sophie Habu, his wife.
Okay.
I really love their nearly parents, which was like newlyweds and nearly weds or something at some point. But yeah, kind of listening to their humor and seeing how they interact as a couple, and you can really like see the love between them, which sounds quite strange to say because it's very parasocial. I don't know them at all, but it's so lovely to have a light-hearted and kind of something that's not too serious, because when you're working all day and you've got like other external stresses, sometimes you kind of need to ingest something that's just very light-hearted, and I've quite enjoyed their podcast, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I'm going to ask, what was your childhood inspiration? So what was your childhood aspiration? Sorry. So when you was a child, what did you want to be when you was growing up?
When I was a child, I had some quite unserious aspirations, because they were just not unserious because of the job, but because they were completely random. And I wanted to be a dentist, for example, at one point, but I wasn't being serious. So I was just saying things. But one of my aspirations was actually to play in an orchestra, you know, being a musical person and playing the violin. I wanted to play in an orchestra. I quickly realised that that was not a goal of mine. Again, with the whole performance aspect of it all. What else did I have? I really, really wanted to run a charity. I think when I was about 12 years old, I went on a school trip to an institution. I'm not really sure what it was at the time, but I know they had like a lot of kids from like diverse backgrounds who were also living with diabetes and other like chronic illnesses. And that kind of made me feel like, oh, like I really wanna help. I really wanna be in this space. Also being a diabetic myself, like that really kind of propelled my thoughts and my understanding of what it meant to actually help people and make a difference, especially when it comes to healthcare. So that was an aspiration of mine, to run a charity, which I kind of do now, and I'm involved with like, you know, other different charities as well, but kind of the charity space was definitely something that I felt quite passionate about as a child. Again, quickly realised that it's not an easy job to do. And you, like you said, no man is an island. It definitely takes a village. But yeah, I'd love to explore that further as an adult.
I was going to say, a CIC is a form of charity, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
technically, that
Technically,
childhood goal
yeah,
is
I'm
being
getting by.
realised. We're going to wrap up now, but we have a theme on this podcast where the podcast guest sets the challenge for the next one. So I'm going to ask you what the previous guest said I should ask you,
Okay.
which is, what does a Black legacy mean to you, and how do you implement that in your work? And then once you've answered that, if you can set the question for the next guest, that would be appreciated.
Okay. What does a Black legacy mean to me? I I think there's a lot of emphasis on legacy. I think it's important to work towards having a legacy, but I think it's also really, really important to allow yourself the space to have a quote unquote legacy in anything that you do and be proud of anything that you do, whether it's seen as a legacy to the outside world and outside, influences or not. And to me, my Black legacy means creating space, holding space, and being a safe person to work with, to speak to interact with in any way. I want that to be my legacy because I think it's something that's really important to me when I connect with people, that I feel safe with them, and I want people to be safe with me. And when they speak about Alex, they say she's a safe space, and she's not only she's a Black woman, but she's a powerful Black woman, and she's inspirational, but she's above all safe. And that might sound like, okay, well, anyone, can be safe, or it doesn't take much to be that person, but I really believe it does. I think it takes a lot of groundwork. I think it takes a lot of resilience, especially being human beings and how our emotions are affected by just everyday things. I think it takes bravery to be a safe space, and to make sure that is being passed through generations and it's not trauma that you're passing on. I think it's really important to understand how your actions can affect people, and how as a Black woman you bring the next generation, or the next round of people through that same door that you were fortunately able to pass through. And that's ultimately what I want to be for people. Any resource that I have, I want to make sure I take my piece and I pass it on to the next person. It's always about passing the baton on for me. Like I said, there's space for everyone, and it's safe here, and it's going to be even safer. It has to. So that's what Black legacy means to me.
Powerful, inspiring.
Thank you.
To round up, what question would you like to ask our next guest?
To my next guest, or the next guest coming on the Behind the ERG podcast, I would like to ask you how you see your future work and just future endeavours being instrumental to different types of communities in terms of diversity. And that's across race, that's across gender, and it's across accessibility as well.
Wow, what a important question.
Mm.
So good luck to the next guest in answering that. Alex, it's been a pleasure. Like, you're doing great things,
Thank you.
and really excited for what you're going to be doing going forward with all the different ventures you're in, and also the future ventures that may not exist yet that you're probably going to be involved in the future. So if you don't know the name, you definitely will. Definitely destined to become a household name.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. Before we go, can you just let people know where they can follow you, Women's Connect, and all the different things that you've mentioned today?
So I just want to thank you as well for having me. It's honestly been a pleasure, and I couldn't have picked a better way to spend my morning. You can find me everywhere at Planet Alex, and that's on Instagram, X. I'm just Planet Alex. I think on X there's an underscore though. And then Women Connect is Women Connect UK everywhere. It's the same handle across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. So that's where you can find us. We also have a website, which is www.womenconnect.co. Please come and show some love. Get in touch with us if you want to, chat or join a community. We'd love to have you.
Amazing. Thank you once again, Alex, and thank you everyone for locking in to the Behind the ERG podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode and appreciate you all. Blessings.